Hello, my fellow Trekkies. Long live and prosper. How are you? It's been a while since I've been on here talking Star Trek. It's not that I haven't been watching Star Trek, I've just been very, very busy. I want to thank everybody that used to watch my Trek review videos. Hopefully, we'll get in a little bit of a rhythm on Friday morning after I watch the episodes Thursday night. And I did watch last night's episode. This review may have some spoilers. I apologize to everybody. It sucks, this whole situation with you not being able to see Star Trek Discovery on Netflix or whatever other platform you were using. So hopefully you'll find some way to watch it because it was really good. I actually really enjoyed this first episode. The show seems to every season seems to be getting closer and closer to what the show wants to be, if that makes any sense, which is really what Star Trek has always been like. Yeah, I always say, with the exception of the original series, which seemed to know right off the gate, except for, maybe the first 3 or 4 episodes, you can definitely see they were, messing around with, how much emotion can Spock show, how the crew interacts with each other, what color uniform are they going to use. You can see Uhura in some in some yellow or orange in the early seasons, but for the most part, everybody was established in TOS in first season as one of the best. But every other Star Trek show takes 3 to 4 seasons to really get a sense of itself, and Star Trek Discovery is no different. And this episode is full of hope and all that nice stuff, that we expect out of Star Trek. It's very happy and very this and that, except that it isn't in the end. But the general mood and tone of it was surprising for me at the beginning. Everybody's smiling. Burnham seems to just have this real uplifting vibe about her. Very, she's confident in her command. It's like, yes, this is what should have been since the beginning, maybe. Given her character is Captain, who knows, different version of Discovery. And she's slowly building into that character that I can like a little bit more. And I've said this many times on earlier reviews, is that I still feel she's the weakest link character wise on the show, which is a shame to say, but slowly they're developing her into an interesting character, and this episode really breaks that down fully. Now, I don't want to give a whole recap of the episode as I usually do. I want to try to make these a little bit shorter, but basically, what's going on is, hey, we got the future now. The future is where we are. It's established. It's no more, oh, what's this? What's that? The Discovery crew is 100% equipped to deal with the fact that they have traveled almost 1,000 years into the future. We got some promotions. Obviously, Captain Burnham being the standout of it all. And they're going around doing Federation stuff again. They've figured out how to start rebuilding after the burn and go out there and explore. I would have liked that this episode dealt a little bit more with just straight up exploring, but hey, that's not Discovery, and you just have to take the show for what it is. Discovery is about these mega events, and we have one here, which is this gravitational anomaly, whatever you want to call it, which takes out a space station, Deep Space something, Deep Space 4 or something. I like how they have these references. They got the reference to Voyager, they got the reference to Archer, uh, which has become the first space dock, the Archer space dock, because they've reopened Starfleet for the first time since the burn, which is kind of cool. Burnham gives a nice speech there. But she's called out, the Discovery is called out to see what happened at the space station, which got blown out of space pretty much and is spinning out of control. And while they're there, they need to save the crew of the space station. And my friend Burnham has to find out about herself, basically. And why does she find out about herself? Because tagging along is the new Federation president, Lyra Rillick. Okay, she decides that, hey, I want to go on this trip with you. And Burnham's not really excited about that because, like, hey, I don't want politicians on my ship. But she doesn't really have a choice. And Admiral Charles Vance, who is wonderful, he's back. He tells her the same. It's like, you don't really have a choice. She's going to go. So the drama is basically there. And we'll talk about the results of that drama in a little bit. But there's some side stories. We got Saru. We got Saru right off the bat. So really nice to see Saru back. And he's over in Kelmanar. Is that how you pronounce it? I'm terrible with these names. And he's split. Does he want to stay there? Does he want to go back to space? His heart is split. Sakal is telling him, hey, basically, I'm good. If you are staying here because of me, I'm fine. So go back out into space. It seems like that's going to be that storyline going forward. And I don't mind it at all because Saru is such a great character and he has so much gravitas. He just shines on screen. He could be talking about whether he wants to start drinking decaf or caffeinated coffee, and I would be glued to the screen wondering what is Saru's decision because Doug is such a great actor and Saru is such a great character. Star of the show for me, my favorite character on Star Trek Discovery. And we got some more book, which is cool. He goes back to his home world to uh, for ceremony for his nephew, and which is kind of sweet, And think there's not much more to that except that, and here come the spoilers, guys. This gravitational anomaly, whatever it is, blows up, or it doesn't even blow up the planet. It like knocks it out of its orbit, like thousands of however many light years away. Because when they try to look for it at the end of the episode, it's like it's not there. And then they expand the scope, the search scope, and oh, there's the planet, and it's all burned up, and it's kind of crazy. So that's the basic plot of episode one. Let's get to some things that I didn't dig. As much as I like the happy, everybody's woohoo, big, great Trek family, they got to work into it a little bit because we're so accustomed to everybody's kind of stressed out and trying to figure themselves out that it took me by surprise that, okay, everybody's really happy. Um, they got to work those scenes a little bit better, the writing of those scenes, because it seemed cheesy. It seemed like they were almost writing for the fans that complain about how uh, much conflict there is in Star Trek Discovery. And it's like, oh, look, we can be a happy family until, at the end of the episode when we're right back to square one, which is the Discovery that I dig, which is just, we don't know what the hell's going on. It's Discovery, guys. It's like trying to figure shit out. That's what this show for me stands for, which I like. I like that take on Star Trek. It's trying to figure it out and being outside. When we were back in the original time, in the past, they were outside of the usual Starfleet, so they had to figure things out. And now they're out in the future. It makes more sense with the tech of the ship and the style of the ship and everything. Visually, it makes more sense them in the future, but they're still trying to figure things out. So here we go again. What's going on? We need to figure it out, and again, at a deeper level, not just like every Trek episode, I guess you could say they're trying to figure something out. But I hope you understand what I mean. Um, yeah, like for example, the beginning scene. Uh, it was okay. It didn't really do it for me. It started out a bit like the beginning of Into Darkness, which is my least favorite Star Trek movie. Um, yeah, and you know what? I say that, like I think I would put it even below Star Trek 5. Like, I really don't like that movie. But but it's a similar opening scene, where they're on this planet and they get chased by a bunch of, white makeup white aliens or whatever, and jump off a cliff, to uh, survive. And Burnham even makes the comment, "Why is there always a cliff?" So it seemed like a bit of a knockoff of that. And they're on this diplomatic mission, and I get this criticism about Star Trek Discovery, because it's like they're joking, and, "Oh, we didn't mean that. Oh, are you," like, adding that comedy element to like a diplomatic meeting. I mean, I get it as far as entertainment wise, but it takes me out of, like, this is Star Trek. These are captains. This is a military. Well, did I say that? A scientific, exploratory vessel, and there's a certain level of decorum, a certain level of how we speak, that Burnham and the rest of the crew don't fit into. They're very loosey goosey. I get that criticism of the show. It's not enough to, like, make me hate the show and, like, this is not Star Trek. No, but it will take me out of scenes like this where I'm like, you know, can't they get their shit together? Can't Burnham, Burnham's usually very serious. Can't you just get her stuff together? Can't, Book's not helping. Why is Book even there? He's not Starfleet. And this is a really important diplomatic mission, reconnecting with an old alien race that the Federation had dealings with. I would think that they would have planned that out a little bit better than meeting in the middle of the forest and joking their way through it and bubbling their way through it. I didn't like the opening, basically. But then once the show starts going, once they get the whole Starfleet thing together, and you can see the little Ferengi in the back, which is kind of cool, where they're showing all the new cadets. Um, it got a little bit better. It got a little bit better. And then we get to the whole thing in DS9, and that's where the crux of the show is, the Kobayashi Maru, which we all know is an unbeatable test. It's rigged, unless you're Captain Kirk. And then you rig the rigged test because that's fair. And you beat it. Now, what I liked is that, okay, so we had this no-win situation. Burnham had to get these guys out of this space, what do you call it? Space station, before it blew up, because they're getting attacked. Well, not attacked, I should say. These asteroids, whatever, I forgot now what it was, are hitting them, because this gravitational wave blew stuff up. So there's stuff blowing through space. And so they put the shield up around the ship and the space station, but that takes a lot of energy, a lot of power. It's not going to last forever. So she's got a little window of time, Captain Burnham, to get people out of the space station. Of course, she decides that she's going to take a little helper bee, because something's jammed the door of the, because they can't transport people out. They got to do it manually through the escape pod. So she decides to manually go down there, take the stuff off, and it leads to, at the end of it all, when she does manage to get mostly everybody off, there are some folks that die, and she does it in a way that's very, very risky. There's 4 minutes of shields left. It's going to take about 5 minutes to get them, get that little spaceship to the Discovery. We may not make this. We may not make it out alive. Meanwhile, the new president of Starfleet is there, or the Federation, sorry, is there watching us on the bridge. And she does succeed, though. She does succeed, But then there's the conversation. And this is where I think, I'm not sure if the show succeeded or failed with this conversation, because the president calls her out on this, She had been questioning her decisions, even for her to go out and do the little helper bee mission on her own. She's like, "You're the captain. Are you sure you should be leaving your ship during a red alert?" And Burnham, in usual Burnham style, says, "Well, I'm the most qualified to do this because I have the most flight hours or the most hours in this little machine thing. I know how to do this better than anyone, so I'm going to do it." Um, so at the end, we got that conflict now, okay? Because the president tells her, look, being a leader, being a captain means that you need to realize that there's some unwinnable situations and you need to work for the betterment of the whole, the group, the needs of the many are going to outweigh the needs of the few, Spock style. And not the other way around. So you we're going to lose three people, because the commander of the space station stayed behind because it's going to take two trips for this to go down to evacuate everybody. Uh, Adira and Tilly were still on the space station. So you risk the lives of everybody on Discovery just to save three people. Like that's not cool. And the president broke it down. She's like, I'm actually kind of scoping out captains to see, which captain I want to use on new technology, ships with new technology to get us moving through space faster, to try to move off of warp, which I thought was cool, where they talked about, try not to be so dilithium um, dependent, kind of a reflection of today's world, not being so coal dependent or whatever, fossil fuel dependent. Because in a way, that lithium becomes almost like the fossil fuel of the Trek future, because they got to mine it. They have to. It's a natural resource, but you know, imagine it's a non-renewable natural resource, and at some point it would run out. So hey, can we figure out ways to move about space without having to mine this, without all the politics that goes into arriving at planets which would allow us to mine this, et cetera, et cetera. So Burnham fires back and says, she gives counter arguments to everything that the captain says, or the president says, which is correct about what a leader is, what a captain should do, and you're just young and inexperienced. And Burnham's like, no, like I saved the universe. I did this, I did that. So why do I say is it a success or a failure? Because it's like the writers recognize the things that fans, and I say fans of the show because I know plenty of people that are fans of the show and just have these issues with Michael Burnham's character, myself included. And of course, there's people that hate the show, which I don't understand why you watch it, but okay, who also have the same arguments about Burnham's character. She's very impulsive. She doesn't listen to anybody. She's got to do everything herself. She puts everybody at risk. It's like she's got a death wish, and the president even says, I looked at your report, on the about you, and yeah, due to some things in your past, it's like you have this psychosis where you just want to save everybody. Um, and so she's hitting all these right points, which us as an audience, most of us, I'd say, or let's say 50-50, let's be fair, will say, yeah, these are the things that don't make Burnham an interesting character. Like you're just pointing them out. But the fact that Burnham just fired back and said, no, 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 makes me wonder, is this a success or a failure for the character of Michael Burnham? Because I want to see that more humble Michael Burnham. I want to see that Michael Burnham that does stay on the bridge and says, you and you and you go out there, and we get to see those three characters figure something out, or those three characters have to be down there on the surface of a planet or on an asteroid or whatever, figuring stuff out while Michael's on the bridge just kind of directing traffic. That would be cool. Okay, that would be cool to see. Um, and I don't know if Burnham's there yet. Now, she comes from a time where captains did this more, right? Captain Kirk is a great example of that. He's on the ground. He's not sending people on the ground. Which is different than later in the Trek universe, the history where we get more Captain Picard style, or even Captain Janeway, which was gung ho too, but she knew how to delegate. So if Burnham got a little bit more towards Janeway, I think I would be really happy. As far as Janeway would not uh, bow down to anybody, she was ready to kick ass, but she understood the idea of delegating, getting people uh, to do some things, and a lot of times, yeah, she would do a lot of risky stuff. So it's not a problem, it's a TV show, so you got to have high stakes. So it's not a problem having these moments where we only have 5 minutes to do this. When can we have shields up? In 8 minutes, Captain. I need it faster. Although, of course, it's Trek. It's TV. Those moments need to be there, but I need to also have an assurance that Captain Burnham isn't gonna burn us all up in space. Um, and I wonder if, I mean, hopefully this is a seed towards an arc that at the end will bring us to a more mature Burnham. I hope so. Her character has been improving year on year. I really liked her for a good chunk of season 3 until she just started crying every other episode. I'm sorry, guys. I know folks get upset with that. And I understand if they mention more of the psychology behind it, we get it. Like, she used to live in a Vulcan culture, she used to hold in all her emotions, and she's been through a lot of trauma. Yeah, she's gonna cry. Okay, and it's okay to cry, but when it just every other episode, and I'm not exaggerating when I say this, it was sometimes back to back, but almost every other episode she's crying. It gets to be too much. So here's hoping for less crying this season. Um, but but the character as a whole, they lightened her up a little bit. They fleshed her out a little bit. They humanized her a little bit. Let her hair down, literally. And it's funny how Trek has this thing with hair. Like, when a character changes that hairstyle dramatically, or beard style dramatically, they tend to get a little bit better. So we'll see. I'm looking forward to that, because for me, Discovery, the title, also represents Burnham's discovery of herself, and we're seeing that develop. So that maybe when we rewatch the series after it's all done, we'll appreciate season 1 Burnham a little bit more, because we'll see how far she's come. Okay, in the same way, like Deep Space Nine, we can appreciate, and I'm about to do a Deep Space Nine rewatch. I can appreciate Bashir, maybe, a character that I really despised for like 2, 3 years on that show. And then I was like, oh my God, this is one of my favorite characters on the show, and probably one of my favorite doctors to ever be on Trek. But it was a build up to that. So it makes me appreciate where he was before, based on what he will become later. So here's hoping that happens with Burnham. But anyway, guys, I said this was going to be short. I seriously wanted to do 5 minutes, and it's 23. So let me know what you thought of this episode. Put it down in the comments, and hopefully I'll be here next Friday. Okay, and hopefully I'll be with a cute little Star Trek uniform. So give me your thoughts on this episode down in the comments. Bye bye.